Today we thought it'd be good to talk about the other side of last year, right? The things that didn't necessarily go well, mistakes or missteps, or just moments that we wish we probably would have handled a little bit differently, because we actually want to grow, and we can't just look at what's right or went well. We have to look at what cost us energy or peace or time or momentum, and how we can learn from that. So today we're going to break down some of our biggest failures from the year. And more importantly, we're going to use those lessons going forward instead of repeating those same cycles.
Yeah, and part of the reason I thought of this too is I feel like everyone around New Year's, I know we're kind of a little late at this point, but everyone always talks about like, oh, it's this amazing year. Like, here are all the things I accomplished, but which is amazing. We definitely want to do that for sure. But I think a lot of times people don't talk about the things that went on or the things that they wish they would have done differently or things that, we put failure in quotes, which I'll get into in a minute. But it's like we just want to be. I feel like it's good to have those conversations because people who went through bad years are dealing with things and they're like, oh man, everyone else is crushing look at all the things that people accomplish when it's like they're going through their own things. So I think it's important to highlight. It's like, no, we still go through the low periods, we still have these struggles or these failures or things. And so I think it's important to talk about that, but also like the way we approach it and how we move through it.
Yeah, and it's funny you said that too, because I feel like most people will look back at the year and say, oh my gosh, I'm glad 2025 is over, or whatever year it may be, because they're so heavily focused on the negative things that happened, even though there was a lot of probably a higher percentage of awesome things. But what I think what we're going to talk about is they say, oh my gosh, this was such a struggle. Let's just move on into the year. Instead of saying, oh my gosh, this was a struggle. What can I learn from it? Or what did I learn from it? Or how can I use that going forward? So that's what we're going to talk about today.
Such a good point. Yeah. And before we get into that too, I'd just say if you guys are loving our podcast, we'd love for you to share it with your friends, post it on your social media. It does help us grow a ton, helps get the word out there and helps it to reach more people. So please share, rate it, subscribe, whatever you got to do. We appreciate you guys. But yeah, when it comes to failure, so I don't even like using the word failure, even for the context for this, just because like failure isn't the problem. I think, like you were saying, ignoring it is. A lot of people beat themselves up for mistakes or pretend that didn't happen, and neither one of those leads to growth.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that too, because I hate the word failure. Because to me, like, I know when I hear the word failure, it's almost like a definitive, like it's done, it's over. Like you failed, it's over type of thing. And really, most failures are not the end of the end all. It's just the next step to actually being really successful.
Yeah. Like all the things that we're going to go through, I don't see them as failures. Anything in my life that I quote unquote fail at, I don't see it as a failure. I think just the way I view it is different or like anything because it's all feedback. It's all provided value. It's all provided lessons. It's all helped me grow. And that's the way I see it. I was talking with a client on this the other week actually because he's just been through like a really stressful season. He's like dealing with rejection when it comes to dating or looking for new jobs and going through interviews and everything. And I noticed that every time he got a rejection, he equated it to him failing. Or like I guess I should say like getting that he saw it as a failure and then he's like, "Oh, I'm a failure." And so it was an attack on his self-worth and his identity. And so I was trying to reframe it to him. I'm like, "Dude, failure is good." Like all the most successful people, they have failed more times than we can even imagine. Then that is why they're successful. It's feedback. It's a requirement to success. The faster you fail, the faster you get where you want to go. And I always say it's all a volume game with anything, when it comes to sales, when it comes to dating, when it comes to getting a job, when it comes to refining and writing content. It's like you got to do a shit ton of reps. You got to learn, you got to get feedback, and you got to adjust. So failure is good. Like we want that. And I think changing the way you view it, because like I said, I don't see it as like failure is a bad thing. I'm like, okay, this is just feedback. It's like, what can I use to grow? What did I take out of it? What's the learning lesson?
Yeah, I get your client's perspective though, because I do the same thing. I think a lot of us do, where it's really hard to detach from the failure and take a step back and say, okay, that was a failure. I'm not a failure. That was a failure. Instead, we link it all together. And it's like, oh my gosh, even like when I'm watching my favorite sports teams, they lose, like I'm linked to them, even though no one cares, but I feel like a failure because my team that I'm rooting for lost. Instead of feeling like, oh man, that was, that stinks, that was a failure of a season, we'll come on next. Like I failed, like I feel awful with things. So yeah, I get that. I mean, we just tie it all in and it's really hard to detach ourselves from feeling like a failure ourselves.
Yeah, that's a whole other topic I could talk on for a while, which I won't get into now. But it's like, yeah, like we tie our identity to so many things. And I've seen this a lot recently when it comes to social media because I've been posting, like I always post a lot about mental health and depression and everything. And I always get so much pushback when it comes to that because people have tied their identity to that. Like they are the depressed person. So when I attack and say, yo, like your habits are making you depressed, they immediately feel like they're getting attacked because I like that's their identity. And then they push back and they, have all this stuff. So it all ties in. So it's like, not letting one failure, one action, or whatever it is become who you are. It's feedback. That's it.
Yeah, and I think it takes work. I mean, you can't just be like, "Oh, that's I love that. Tomorrow, that's what I'm going to be." You really have to be intentional. You really have to think about it and really put some work into doing that to be able
Yeah,
to do
for
that.
sure. Yeah. So I guess I'll start off like I think one of the things that I didn't do, I'm gonna say failure, but again, I don't see it as failure, but I'm like for the purposes of this, I don't know what other way to describe it. But it's like I definitely didn't set hard enough boundaries, and I let certain people walk over me, whether that's in relationships or friendships or just in business. And I feel like that was probably like one of the biggest themes that came up and one of the biggest themes that led into me setting boundaries and intentions for this year.
Yeah. So, I mean, do you want to share any details or anything that, or maybe just something that you learned from it that you're taking forward and how you're looking at things differently this year?
Yeah, I think one is just defining boundaries. I'm working on this with a couple clients as well because I think, yeah, it's easy to have these boundaries in our head. And then even my friend was talking about this. Like, it's so easy to let them slip when we don't have them clearly defined on what that looks like. And so I highly recommend writing out like boundaries, whether that's like with a certain person or just with some of the habits that you're doing fitness wise or whatever it is, like have them written out or just the standards that you live by and then be able to like go and check and be like, all right, does that cross one of my boundaries? Is it aligned in my plan? So that's one thing I didn't have is I didn't have them written out. So I would just like, especially in relationships, any relationship really, it's like I care so much about the people in my life and I will go the ends of the earth to do anything for them if that means sacrificing my time, my energy, the things that are important to me or like just like putting whatever their needs are ahead of mine. And so I definitely tend to do that too quick too when it comes to relationships. So just learning like obviously there is a give and take when it comes to relationships, but making sure that I have my boundaries set, I'm sticking to that no matter what, especially in the initial stages and then obviously like having conversations and finding that happy medium. But I think that's the biggest for me is like I'll just immediately sacrifice anything for other people when it's not going to be reciprocated.
Well, I like what you said. You said having those standards, right? And if you write those down, then like you said, you can cross-check that. Whether if you're going through a situation or whatever, you can say, okay, let me go back to my standards that I've written down that I set for myself. Like, are these living up to the standards, or like you said, crossing the boundaries, or am I not living up to that? Am I letting these people take me away, and I'm not aligned with these standards because of what I'm allowing these people to do or say?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and kind of going along with the relationship theme. I mean, in general, like my goal is relationship experiences, so naturally a lot of stuff kind of falls around relationships, and kind of same with this year. But another one was like trusting my gut. It's like this goes for romantic relationships, like friendship, like business relationships, hiring people, like everything. It's like not trusting my gut. Like I know immediately right off the bat whether someone is going to be in my life or not. And sometimes in my head, I'll then go and justify and be like, oh, but XYZ, oh, but they have this great quality or whatever it is. And I ignore what that gut feeling is. And my gut feeling is never wrong. So sometimes it is hard because you're focusing on the good or you're just ignoring some of the red flags that are coming up. And it's easy to focus on. I'd be like, oh, I'll give them a chance or whatever it is. But no, it's like I need to trust my gut initially. Yes, no, like immediately speak my truth, set the boundaries there, and like decide whether or not I want them in my life or not, and just being able to trust that as opposed to justifying or giving it another shot. So that's another one that kind of ties into that first point for me.
Yeah, we're really good about justifying. I feel like, especially if it fits what we want it to fit, it's that bias that we have. We do that on social media. We listen to the people that are saying the things we want to hear. Like, oh yeah, they're all whatever. And so it's the same thing with your gut. Sometimes your gut's telling you something, and then you're like, yeah, but it's almost like you're trying to talk your gut into it, and your body and your mind is like, listen to what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny because like your body has such a physical reaction. Like I would have like I could feel the anxiety, like I could feel like it tensing, like I could feel all this stuff, and I was still just like, oh, no, but these qualities, like whatever it is, and I think it's great to see the good in people, and I think that's something that I do well at. But then it's like you got to find that balance of like I can almost see it too much and ignore all of the issues or the things that are coming up.
Well, yeah, and then like you said, your body's holding it, and then I feel like when that whole situation kind of ends, and especially if it's a positive thing, like you feel so much more at peace,
Oh yeah.
and it's almost like it just releases, and you're like, oh man, like this is totally what I was supposed to be feeling.
Hmm. Yeah, there's one person in mind I had for like where I kind of let my boundaries cross too much, and like as soon as I cut it off, and I was like, yo, like we're not communicating at all ever again. Like I just felt a weight lift off me, like stress gone, anxiety gone, like so much more at peace. So gotta trust that.
Yeah, for sure.
How about
Uh,
you? What are some of yours?
well, this is funny. I was asked my daughter Harper. I said,
Oh, I'm sure.
yeah, because I know she would like be honest and tell me because I was struggling because I really am so like forward thinking, like positive thinking, and like I really don't do a good job, just to be honest with you, of looking at failures or looking at things that I struggle with and learning from it. I would rather just kind of push it under the rug, move forward type of thing. And I said, Harper, what are some of the failures I had this year? And she was like, "Pfft, you didn't fail in anything." And I kind of laughed and I said, well, we all fail at something. Like my life is far from perfect. And then I started thinking about, well, maybe that's a failure right there that I don't let anyone see any kind of weaknesses of mine. Or at least I
Mm.
try not to. I'm sure people do, but I try so hard to keep everything internal. I try so hard to have this, there's nothing ever wrong. Everything's positive. Everything's great. Exterior that maybe that was a big failure of mine. That maybe, that I need to be more open. I need to be more willing to trust other people. I need to be more willing to talk to other people and learn from other people and share and let go of some of the things that I hold all to myself.
Mm. Yeah, that's a good point. What do you feel like you would, how do you feel that would be different if you start doing more of those things? Like, how can you see what benefits do you think you would get from that, or how would that impact your life?
Well, I think at first I would be very anxious because it'd be very hard to let that down. I
Yeah.
feel like it's like me and God, and we talk about everything. But even then, I feel like I still spend so much time like trying to manage everything. Even through my prayers, sometimes I think about like it's almost like God, this is what needs to be done,
Mm.
instead of like, hey God, show me what I need to be thinking. Show me what you're trying to tell me, and open up my eyes and ears and heart, and let me listen. It's like, all right, God, this is what needs to be done. When is this going to happen?
Mhm.
Trying to control those outcomes instead of truly like listening to Him. So I don't know. I mean, that would be very difficult for me. But I think it's just maybe being more honest with people. When you're talking to somebody, it doesn't have to be serious either. Like, hey, how was your weekend? Instead of like, oh, it was fantastic, everything's great. Maybe like, oh, it was great. Actually Saturday, whatever it may be.
Mhm.
And you don't have to tell all your, everything that's bothering you, but it could be just something that just, and you never know. They may be dealing with the same issue or whatever, and that might open up more conversations. And so I don't know. You never know what could stem from that.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. I think it's starting small like that too. It's like I feel like that's such a common example of everyone's like, "Oh, how are you?" You see everyone there, they're like, "Good." Everyone's just good. But like, no, like be honest. Like, what's going on? If things are really good, say that. If you're struggling with stuff, say it. Like again, you don't need to get into super in-depth details and all the stuff going on. But I think just starting like with that first step of just like being honest and transparent about that, and then it'll open the door to have more of that connection. Or they might ask her like, "Oh, what's going on? How can I support her?" Like you said, they might connect with something that you're struggling with as well. So I feel like a lot of doors open from that.
Yeah, it's funny. I had a conversation with someone at the gym a few weeks ago, and I hadn't seen him in a few weeks, something like that. And I asked him, I was like, "Oh, how's it going? Like what's going on? Anything exciting? Whatever." And he just went straight to something that was really challenging in his life. Like wasn't any kind of we're doing well anything. It just went straight to something that was just really difficult for him. And we talked about it for a few minutes, and then he had to go and everything like that. And I was like, man, like I was just wanting to know, like how I really wanted a positive answer, like how you doing? Great, cool, man. Just have a little chit chat. And he went deep, like right away. But then I thought, but I bet you that felt really good.
Hmm.
That he was able to talk to someone. Maybe he's been wanting to talk to somebody about it, and it was just like, boom, like here's it all out. And maybe he was more at peace with that. So I was like, I mean, maybe, maybe that I should be doing more along those lines type of thing.
Yeah, for sure. So another one for me, I think about the speech. Obviously, I'm sure everyone is somewhat caught up. Like, I had an opportunity for a speech, I accepted it, prepping for it, and went really hard. It took a lot of time and energy and blood, sweat, and tears. um, and then it ended up falling through, and like I wasn't able to go and do it just with plans changing and everything. And so to me, it felt like that was kind of a failure, like because I had this vision of, oh, I'm gonna overcome this big fear, I'm gonna go do this thing, and then it didn't work out. And part of that was my decision too, just because of all the back and forth and just like the plans not working out. It just didn't make sense anymore. And so I kind of felt guilty about that. So that's kind of another one that I had in the back of my mind.
I was thinking about that too, and I'm sure like at first, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I would have been kind of like, oh, this sucks. Like I put all this time, all this effort, I got so anxious about it and everything, and now it's not going to happen. Like it's all for naught, at first. And I was kind of relating it to like someone who, let's say they want to lose like 50 pounds, right? A big number. And they end up losing like 20. And they're like, man, like, this is just so frustrating. Like I know I lost 20 pounds, and I'm going through the process, and I know I'm getting this done. And if someone would look at it and say, hey, but you know what? You're going to the gym 2 or 3 times a week pretty consistently. You're making better choices with your nutrition. You're trying to get better sleep. You're going out there and socializing more often and feeling more confident and stuff like that. It's that process. So yeah, you may not be at that ultimate outcome where you wanted, but that process, you're way further ahead than you were before. And so like for me, like looking at your what you did there, it was kind of like, I was like, yeah, but you took that big leap. You could have easily said like, no, I'm not doing this. And instead, like you dealt with all that anxiety and you put so much effort into it. And it's like, you can look back and say, hey, you know what? I didn't actually get to that speech, but I did, like, I worked all the whole process and I really stepped out of my comfort zone and I made a lot of strides here. I grew a lot.
Yeah, and that's the thing with even the relationship one and this one, every single thing that didn't go well or that quote unquote failed, it's like the way I see it is like I'm grateful for it. Like it all happened the way it was supposed to. I learned, like, I find the good in it no matter what the situation is. I think that's one thing that I'm really proud of myself for training myself to get to over the years, is like I find the good in every situation, regardless of it. Like sometimes it may take me a little longer, like in the moment it's a little tough to see that, but it's like I find the good in all of it. And it's like with a speech, I'm grateful it happened the way it did. Like we probably wouldn't have started the podcast, like or at least when we did, if it wasn't for that speech. I grew so much confidence in my speaking abilities just from accepting it and practicing it. So it's like I learned so much about myself in the process, and I have a banger ass speech that I can bust out at any point. But it's like there's so much good that came out of that. So it's like, yeah, like I felt a little guilty in the moment, or like, oh man, like it didn't work out quite the way I envisioned, but it's like grateful for how it did. Like it happened the way it was supposed to.
Yeah, I feel like God puts us through those processes and we automatically think of that final outcome, that final goal. And I think a lot of times he's like, no, we're not going to get to there. But that's exactly what I want. Like, I want you to work through this process. I'm using this for other great things down the road.
Exactly.
So that kind of goes along actually with one of my other ones was relying on God in both the little things and the big things. I'm so backwards sometimes in life. Like, so I have always been so at peace on some of the biggest things in my life, scary things, challenging things, silly things, whatever. The bigger the deal in my life, I feel like the more at peace I am. I don't know why, but that's why I've been. Like, I'll give you an example. When I was in a senior or graduating college, I was taking one of my last classes. I didn't have any jobs lined up or anything. I think I was going to graduate like in a few months, and I had nothing lined up. I didn't even have like a really solid, this is what I'm doing, and I had zero stress about it. And I remember I was in, and most people were like, "What?" But
that's a superpower.
yeah, I know. I don't know how I did stuff like that. But so anyway, I remember when we were in a class, and it was an exercise science class, and we were working with an associate professor or something like that, and it was like a small group thing. And she was just kind of going around asking us like, hey, what are you guys going to do when you graduate? What are your plans? And she got to me and I was like, I don't have any plans. I don't have anything set up. And the look on her face was like, what? And she goes, must be nice to have a lot of money. And like, she just went straight to what she assumed. And I was like, and at first I was like, what are you talking about? Like, oh no, I don't have a lot of money. Like, I'm not well off. Like, I don't have anything set up for me. She just assumed that, some trust fund kid, or just my parents are going to pay for everything or whatever. And I was like, no, I just have faith in God that he's going to set up some really cool things for me. I'm just going to work hard to get there, but I have no idea what that's going to be. And sure enough, of course, a few months later, I had something amazing pop up. But so yeah, all those big things, I'm really good. It's those stupid little things that, like I said, I'm the opposite. Most people are like, oh, I trust God in this, but those little stupid things that's what I get really anxious about. And so those are the things that, like, I really need to rely more so on God on those little things too. And just go to him and say, I know, God, this sounds ridiculous. Most people would laugh at me if I'm like, I'm stressed out about this, but this is the thing that's bothering me. And this is why it's bothering me. And, talk to him and go to him and let him walk me through and show me how most of the time it wasn't a big deal, but I made it a big deal,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people can relate to that. I feel like it is a lot of the little things that compound, or especially if you're just in a state where it's like sometimes just like one little thing will push you over the edge and can cause a lot of anxiety there. But I love it. I was just like going to him with every little thing, every decision. I feel like I read a lot of that in the Bible lately too. Just everything, like especially like in the good times and the bad, like everything just going to him. And I feel like that is such a good practice, but definitely tough too to remember to like do it throughout the day too, or when these little things come up, especially when you're used to just handling it on your own and be like, oh, whatever, like I'll figure it out.
Yeah. And sometimes it's not even that I'm like overlooking him. It's just, I don't know. Sometimes you're just rushing through things or going through life and you're just like, oh, hey, I forgot God's here. Like, I could easily talk to him. He's the best person to talk to. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I think the last big one for me was just my health, in the sense of like I did gain like a good amount of weight, like 10, 15 pounds, and I messed up my health and my hormones just from letting work and stress take over. Um and so that's something like I'm definitely not proud of, but at the same time it's like it's a great learning process for me. Like I've gotten so much out of it too, just for, because like I have to learn how to heal my hormones and my gut and all this stuff. I hired an amazing coach who's helping me through, who's giving me a ton of information that I can help relay to my clients as well. So it's making me a better coach. It's giving me so much more knowledge and insight in my body and how it works, and then how to take that and teach other people as well. So it's like I am grateful for it. And it's a good lesson too, because this is what I always preach with our clients. And so many of them and us just tend to get caught up in putting work or putting other people ahead of ourselves, and then we let our health take the back burner. And not that I let my health take the back burner, it's just like I was just burning myself out and just not prioritizing the right things. So it's been a really big learning lesson for me, and something that is a main focus for me in 2026 now is healing all of that.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people have a hard time prioritizing themselves. And I think sometimes they think it's very selfish to
Mm-hmm.
prioritize themselves. And one thing we try to tell them is, hey, if you can't take care of yourself, eventually you're not going to be able to take care of the people around you.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not being selfish to take care of yourself. You have to make sure that your health is where it needs to be so that you can take care of everyone around you.
Yep, exactly.
All right, I got one more I'll talk about, and that's just being present. I feel like, and I feel like that's a failure of mine, because I feel like there's just so much going on in life, and I allow a lot of things. I can't multitask, right? No, none of us can really multitask yet. We act like we can. So I think I allow so many things to get in my mind at times that I need to do a better job at slowing down, and whoever I'm with at that time, whatever I'm doing, I need to be more present in doing that. It's not necessarily, sometimes it's a phone, but it just could be other things. Could be thoughts, could be just random things around the house, whatever, wherever I am, it doesn't matter. Just I can give you an example everywhere I go. Sometimes I just need to be, okay, this is what I'm doing. I'm at the gym, all I'm doing right now is working out. And don't worry about anything that's going on outside life. Say hi to my friends there, work out, think about why I'm there, and then I can deal with the other stuff when I leave, type of thing.
Oh yeah, I aggressively agree with this one too. That's something I'm working on right now. I'm struggling with as well, and I'm trying to remember, especially this week. It's so easy to get caught up in the next thing, or you feel all the impending pressure of all the things, or all the people that need you, all the things on your to-do list. But it's like all you have is right here, right now. It's like pour everything into whatever action, whatever interaction you're having. It'll make your life so much better too. But it is tough. It's such a constant practice you have to remind yourself of too every moment.
You really do. And I feel like I'm getting better because I think a lot of times I get so stressed out about the things that I need to be getting done and I want to get done. And I've gotten better about kind of telling myself, okay, like how long does that actually take to do? Like
Hmm.
how long is this process going to be? And then I remind myself, oh, you know what? It's not as long as it's not going to take 5 hours. Like that the way I respond to it is like, oh my gosh, I'll have to do this. It's going to take like 20 minutes. It's a huge
Yeah.
difference, type of thing. So, but you're right. You do have to be intentional. You really have to think about it.
Yeah.
All right. So if this last year didn't exactly go as planned, you're not behind. You're not alone for sure.
Yeah.
But you're learning. So the question isn't like what did I mess up or what I did not do well. It's what is this teaching me? What can I learn from it? How can I move differently next time?
Yeah, and I think that's the key too, is like all these things is like we've taken it, we've used it as feedback, and then we're using it to implement into our goals and intentions this year, whatever season of life we're in. It's like we have the action plan to be able to combat that and work to undo this or like live in a different way. So, yeah, if you want help creating real momentum in your health, especially if fat loss feels harder than it used to, we just released a new guide called 5 Steps to Your Next 5 Pounds Down. Walks you through how to simplify the process, adjust without any extremes, and move forward without starting over. So, you can access that inside our community. I'll drop the link below. And we appreciate you guys being here. Share this with someone, and we will catch you on the next one.